The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. A's Baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tycho of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and we have a full house of co-hosts, minus our co-host emeritus. He is Patrick Tracy, and you guys don't know him. He was the host for a long time, and he suffers some serious back problems and seems to be on his way to recovery.
Good.
So, knock wood, he's got another procedure to go through in August, or in July, rather. He could be rejoining us, and we're going to really have a full house. But keep getting better, Patrick. And today we have...
You're cracky. Your voice is cracky.
Doesn't have back problems, thank God. You're here, and Jerry Feigelberg, who has over his lifetime had back problems. Tell us what that's about, Jerry.
Well, several years ago, I noticed that I wasn't walking properly. This was after I had my knee replacement surgery, and it was probably due to stenosis in my back. I was told I had a bulging disc. But one day I just woke up, and I was in excruciating pain, absolutely excruciating pain. And what had happened was that one of the discs had ruptured. And when I got to the surgeon, by the time I got to the surgeon, he said I needed 2 procedures, 2 days apart, 2 surgeries to repair it. And I had 3 spinal fusions. I had 2 titanium railroad tracks, steel cages put in my back to stop the spinal cord compression.
Titanium?
Titanium. And
right
he cleaned out
metal.
He opened up took care of the stenosis. So I had about 8 or 9 hours of surgery.
This was while you were asleep? You just woke up like that?
I just woke up one day. I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up. And for 4 months, every morning, I could barely make it to the bathroom from the bedroom. I could hardly move.
Oh, my God!
And while this was going on, Isla and I had planned a trip to London, England, and we left 2 days before Christmas. And I was in England for 3 weeks, and I tell people I had the most wonderful time in England, and I had the most miserable time in England. I used a combination of drugs and ice to remove the pain. And if that worked, I had a good day. And if it didn't work, I had a miserable day. But the effect of the trip was that there's always a silver lining, because one of the people from Northern California that were on the trip with us on the theater tour knew of the surgeon in Daly City. And I contacted him from London. I couldn't see him for 3 weeks after we got back, and I was in agony. And then once I saw him, he recommended surgery. I got a second opinion, and a month later he did the surgery, whatever it was. And it's made a tremendous difference, because
is it true that they do, when they do that back surgery, they just make a tiny incision, or do they still have to do pretty radical?
Oh, in my case, it was radical, because they went through the front and through the back. I had one surgery. The first surgery was through the front. The second surgery was through the back to correct it. Yeah, it was very expensive.
Oh my God!
Very, very expensive. But I still have some residual numbness in my legs, but nothing. There's no pain. I'm pain free, so I'm very happy.
did you sleep too still? Maybe were you sleeping without turning?
Have no idea.
Have
no idea how it happened.
Hmm.
You just get older and the discs wear out, and that's what happens.
Sounds like we're cars or something.
Yeah, well, almost.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so glad you got through it, and we're
Yes.
hoping Patrick gets through. And with the same thing that you said, it's so important, just being pain-free, and and I'm assuming not having to depend on opioids and stuff like that, which you know, Jerry, as a pharmacist, that's an epidemic in this country.
Oh yeah, well I had some medication left over from my knee surgery, and so I was able to use that to stem the pain until I got to have the surgery. I was very, very careful using it.
Were you able to lay down? I mean, in England, I mean, to sleep, or did that hurt more?
No, it didn't hurt when I lay down. I used the pillow between my legs, take the pressure off, and I was fine laying down. It's when I got up where it really hurt.
What about sitting so long on the plane?
Well, we were very fortunate. We used mileage, and we were able to go first class, so a nice bed going, and we came back business class. So that was nice. That was very, very fortunate.
Good.
So
Good.
if you had to go cold, it wouldn't have been bad. Actually, sitting up wasn't all that bad. It was lying down, getting up from after you're lying down.
Okay.
So, and then when I had the surgery, the pain was gone. So, and I didn't need any. I needed very, very minimal medication after the surgery. In fact, I was at the nursing home, and I told them stop. I didn't need the medication anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. I'm very fortunate in that regard. So,
yeah.
So and you see players who have back injuries. The baseball players put a tremendous amount of torque on their spine when they swing, and a lot of them develop back problems over the years, and some of them do require surgery. And lower back pain is very, very common in so many people.
That. Yep. That's that actually, instead of headaches, my dad would get lower back pain, like if I was shopping for too long. I remember he'd say, "My back hurts. We've got to go."
Oh yeah, I've used that too, and that's when I didn't have any back pain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Dad used to say, "Well, tall people have lower back pain because I don't know why they do, but he just used to give reasons like he had it a lot."
Oh well,
Anyway,
was Charlie a carrier, or did he have back pain himself?
He never complained about it if he had it.
Charlie.
Yeah,
okay.
he was. Well, I think his dad and mom were probably the type where you just don't have. It's a weakness to show pain.
Oh well.
And yeah,
it's all how you're raised, I guess.
What kind of man feels pain?
Yeah. What?
But yeah,
I think people like Dick Williams gave Charlie more pain than anybody else or anything else.
I know, but he didn't. He didn't talk about it. I know that once Dad had a Camaro once. It was his midlife crisis, but he wouldn't go the red Corvette because he didn't want to stand out that much. But when he would pick Charlie up from the airport, I would hear all these grunts while Charlie was getting into that bucket seat because it was way down. It took a while. He did it. It wasn't it wasn't a limo, but he if Dad could be in it, Charlie could be in it. He could do anything Dad could. So, I mean, in his
kind of nice. They really did have a nice ambiance between them and a nice way of getting along for the most part.
Unless it was.
I've read your book. They did come not to blows, but there were times.
There were times.
What are some of the times that stand out in your mind, Nancy, that that were really when things got a little too hot?
Well, when they never had that in front of me, but on the phone, I would hear Dad talking to people and telling them that if he has to open up the Coliseum with a boxing ring and go at it with Charlie, he was ready. I mean, stuff like that. But
and back in those days when you had a telephone, you could actually slam it down on the person. You can't do that with a cell phone. You just hit this little button.
That's
or you can slam it down, but then you have to go buy a new one.
Right. Well, now all the phone does is go dead, and you say, "Oh, I dropped the call," or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
I noticed that with Charlie, it was interesting because with his sons, not his parents, but his sons or other male like Dad, if he was around other people, he would try to be the top dog and maybe say something like, "What's taking you so long? You're not catching up with us," or something like some childish thing like that. He would never do it to the girls in the family. But then, so there were sometimes they were with reporters, and reporters didn't think that he was very nice to Dad. That was because he had that sibling thing with Dad, and I don't know why he had to do that at times. He never did that with people like Williams because he needed Dad to stay in the background and be respected. But it depended on who he was. He always wanted to do this, it's us against them type of thing. But usually the person he would do that with ended up wondering, what have I gotten myself into? But then Charlie would talk to Dad on the side, and he'd act like nothing ever happened and be very needy. So I don't know why he got that way with the men in the family, except, like I said, his parents, he would not do that with them. But then they never looked that happy at the games. I mean, his mom especially just looked like she was ready for him to finally please her. When's it going to happen?
Right.
At our World Series.
Yeah. I just wanted to interject something. Just in general, trying to please the unpleasable is really, really a lousy job. You ought to resign from that job. Wherever you be it a boss, be it whatever. Just because can't be pleased.
That was Aunt Burma.
Thought I'd inject that, and Charlie sounds like he might be one of those who got it passed down from his mom that he can't be pleased.
He could be.
Couldn't please her.
Well, he could be. Like I said, I figured out how to get him out of any mood by saying that I knew a lady who really thought he was good looking.
Okay.
I can understand that.
Oh my gosh, he would get
men respond to stuff like that, and
he would.
So you're saying you get a little bit more with sugar than with vinegar.
Yes. See, this was after his divorce, and he needed to know he was good looking. He was insecure that way. So if he called in and he was really angry, all I had to do was say, I have someone who would really like to go out with you, and it would change.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think you're in the wrong profession, Nancy. Yeah.
I don't want to ask what you're talking about, but
No. You should be selling tickets to games. That's it. That's what I meant.
I did that.
I would hope someone be selling tickets to games. A's attendance is
now
down
at this
year.
point. I would.
Yeah.
This is a good segue because this is something I wanted to say. The A's are like 6 or 8 games over 500.
Yeah.
Right?
6 games over 500. They swept the Tigers today. They were 8-2 on the 10-game road trip. Wow.
Right on.
Right.
They good.
Go A's.
Now, what I'd like to see is those turnstiles a turning, because if the A's fans aren't going to respond at this point in the season when this is such an interesting, come-from-behind, exciting young team with more that they've shown already more than they showed in the last 3 years. They're having won 44 games in any of the last 3 years before July 18th or something like that. It's still June. Now, if fans don't respond, you could take that as, after all this time, the A's could probably make a case for saying, why are we doing this with a new ballpark, fighting for a ballpark in a city that has been so anti-professional sports for so long. They have screwed the A's since day one in 1968 when the damn thing wasn't completed.
Thank you.
Okay? You know what? Maybe we should look elsewhere. That maybe there aren't enough real, true fans. And why are we batting our heads against the wall? And you know what? They could make a case for that. As much as we hate to say it, they've got to get some fan response because that's, you say, well, we built a ballpark and fans will come out again. They're not coming out for the team because they love baseball, because they respect a hustling, winning team. They're coming out to see the ballpark. That'd be all nice and sweet. That's not the way it should be. The A's fans need to get it together to bring, if you're a loyal A's fan, invite 5 of your friends, that type of thing. And
well, the A's are playing the Cleveland Indians this weekend, and they should have good attendance for that.
They should, but generally it's just Boston and the Yankees that draw. Yeah, they should, and they better.
They should.
Because I'm telling you, it's going to set the whole tone in A's ownership's head when it comes down to the final days of should there be a ballpark, where should it be, this, that, and the other thing.
Are there any other ballparks that hold as many people as this one does still out there?
No.
That's a good question.
Because all these cookie-cutter ballparks are being replaced. Let me give you an example. Arlington, Texas, built a ballpark in 1986. It is absolutely a jewel. I've been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The bottom part of the stadium reminds me of the old Polo Grounds with the beams and what have you. It's really nice.
How many does that hold?
Whatever. The shovel's in the ground for a new one.
Really?
Already. They're building a new one.
So I'm just
right
wondering,
next door.
Are there any left, that hold like the old Roman Colosseum? No, but that hold 50,000. I was just wondering.
I mean, the trend is for intimate ballparks that hold 30 or 40,000.
Like the Giants.
If you fill them up every night, it's better than having a $60,000 seat arena that you can't fill up.
So I don't think this will be filled, but I'll tell you this, if they get close to that wild card, as they get close, it's going to start.
It will.
Really,
it will.
That's always.
But the ballpark itself will not sustain itself if they don't put a good team in there. Look what happened.
Absolutely.
They built this
and if they're not dedicated to putting a good team, right away, now they're talking about being buyers at the trade deadline.
Possible.
So they've got to get something to buy with. And, the radio rights, they're on FM radio, for Christ's sake. Think about that. And the radio and TV rights in the Bay Area pale in comparison to back east. So, eventually, there's going to be a ballpark built somewhere. And if I can harken back to the 70s when things were going great, and attendance was a horrible problem.
The Raiders were on top. Basketball, yeah.
Yeah, the A's in 1995 when the Raiders came back from LA, the city and the county and everybody involved with bringing the Raiders back.
I didn't know they came back that early. Oh.
Yeah, it was 22 years ago. So the everybody fell over. What can we do for the Raiders for the 10 dates that they were going to be there? And they really upset the A's because the A's were their number one tenant.
Oh, that was the 80s.
Games.
That was the 80s. I remember that was like mid 80s or 90s.
Because they came back in the late 90s, actually.
Yeah, the Board of Supervisors just gave them everything. Yeah.
Gave them everything, but they wouldn't do anything for the A's.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
Well, not just that, they ruined the ambiance of the stadium by enclosing it with that monstrosity.
They should pay
but it was
that out.
fun to watch the construction guys sing the Village People song, YMCA.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, we did that.
I didn't like watching that.
But
that was kind of cute. But
I think if the A's build a stadium, they got to have something around it besides just a big old parking lot.
Well, Al Davis built that. Al Davis had that built before us, so that was yeah, he looked at that like his.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you would hope that they get something in the way of a mall or shopping or
something to bring people there. Make it a day trip.
Why won't they demand that the Raiders take that ugly black thing out that blocks the view?
Well, because the Raiders have moved, but other than that, it would be the city, and you don't just you don't just revamp a stadium that's going to be demolished.
Wait, the Raiders have nothing to do with this area now? Nothing?
Well, they're still playing here, but they're not involved in the decision-making of what's going to happen with the stadium or anything.
Well, they should still take that down.
I will tell you one thing. If the Raiders had to pay for that monstrosity, they wouldn't be leaving. It would be their money. But since it's public money, they're just sticking it to the county and city again.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's the difference. They didn't have any money invested in it, and everything they did coming back was wrong. They came up with a half-baked seat license plan that everyone hated. They're selling the 49ers sold seat licenses their lifetime. The Warriors are selling seat licenses; they're going to be lifetime. And the Raiders came up with this cockamamie scheme where they had it for 10 years, and then they had to redo it. They had to redo it every 10 years. And the people didn't buy it. They said that was not acceptable. I think if they marketed better, and the Raiders had their own money invested in the building, they wouldn't be leaving.
Yes. Okay. That answers the question for me.
All right. Let's segue, ladies and gentlemen, to why it is that the A's are doing as well as they are. Let's go over those numbers again. What is an 8-2 road trip?
Jerry predicted this in the beginning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought. How'd you know, Jerry?
Yes.
Well, I saw last year. I saw the development of the team, and they brought up the Pinder. They brought up Matt Chapman, Matt Olson. I thought they were going to keep Ryan Healy, but they made a trade to strengthen the bullpen, and now Pagan is pitching very, very well. They decided that they were going to bring up their prospects that they had and let them play and see if they could do it. Olson had 24 homers in 59 games, and he's playing well again this year. Chapman, unfortunately, is hurt, but Semien is an adequate shortstop. They have a guy groomed for second base. That's Franklin Barreto. And because Barreto's up here now with Chapman being hurt, they now have the flexibility to put Jed Lowry at third base, and he's performing beautifully at third base. He made nice plays yesterday and today. And
they're not making sounds about trading him at the deadline, which
no,
I think they're listening to this show.
And they're getting better defensively. Their defense has been much better this year than it was last year or the last couple of years. They're not making errors. And they got a good catcher. Remember, I told you there was a guy out there that they could hire, Luke Roy, and sure enough, they went and got him. They have to decide that they're talking about trading Jonathan because he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I think they should negotiate with him, give him a 2 or 3 year deal, and extend him. He seems to be working well with the pitchers, and he's hitting about 265, and he's giving them good value for their buck. So he's the guy I would want to keep. Lowry is, right now the talk is that the A's will have 2 representatives at the All-Star game, Jed Lowry and Blake Trinan. Lowry's hitting about 298.
Trinan has been terrific.
Trinan earned his 20 of the state today, 20. And not only is Trinan good, they brought up a rookie, Lou Trevino. Trevino's been terrific too. And so they're getting good value from Chris Hatcher. They're getting good value from Santiago Casilla, Yusmeiro Petit. They have guys that can go in. Now, Trinan wasn't available last night, so Trevino earned the same. And they've just been doing it.
By the same token, I've got to call the A's on a mistake they made. They released a guy by the name of Steve Ducey, who the Dodgers end up getting, and he is tearing it up. So
I think you mean Max Muncy.
No, his name is Steve Ducey. They had him.
Okay, well, the Dodgers got a guy by the name of Max Muncy. He's got about 13 or 14 home runs.
Oh, no, you're right, Max Muncy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I confused those two names. Max Muncy was a former
Steve Ducey's on Fox and Friends, and he.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that.
What is Steve Ducey on? I'm sorry.
He's on Fox. Yeah. Fox and Friends.
Oh, okay. Well, that must be it. I have a small mind.
But that happens.
Tiny little brain up there, and sometimes it gets clogged up with having to remember phone numbers and stuff like that. All right. Well, he is tearing them up with the Dodgers.
He's doing very, very well. I'm very pleased. He was one of these guys that looked like he was a fringe player with the A's. He'd come up. He'd play in a couple of games. He didn't do much, or they'd ship him back to Nashville or wherever, or Sacramento at the time. And he was one of these guys that just didn't appear it was going to happen. Same thing happened with Adam Duvall with the Cincinnati Reds. He was with the Giants. He'd come up, he'd play, wouldn't do anything. He goes to Cincinnati, he hits 30, 35 home runs a year, and he's doing very, very well for the Reds. And that happens.
Yeah, it's just you never know.
Oh, I want to share a story. I want to share a recent story with you when you're done.
I was going to say J.D. Martinez is a great example. J.D. Martinez played for the Houston Astros and didn't do anything. And then they shipped him off to the Tigers, and he started hitting home runs. Then he was a free agent. He was sent to the Diamondbacks last year and ended up with 45. And now he's with the Red Sox. He's got 25 homers, and it's the first time in Red Sox history that a hitter has had 25 home runs before the end of June. So he's doing well.
Let me give you guys a little stat about that'll knock you out. There are 41 players with batting averages of 200 or less in the big leagues. That astounds me.
Is that the end of
Well, Ralph, they're either striking out, walking, or
hitting home runs.
Wow.
And if you don't do it, your batting average goes down. And today's game was very, very interesting because the A's in the third inning had 5 hits, all singles, and scored 3 runs. And they did not hit a home run in the game today, and they won it 4-2.
Yep,
Not all the runs.
They
put the bat on the ball, put the ball in play, and they were able to win the game without hitting a home run.
Yep, I know it's fun.
And Piscotty is coming along to the point where he really looks like he's blooming as a right fielder.
Oh, Piscotty? Oh, he's
yeah.
great defensively. Oh, he had a hit today. I think Pinder had a couple hits today. Jed Lowry had a single and double. He knocked in his 55th run. He's on pace for 110 runs. Huh?
Some players say this is their best location to play. I mean, I was just curious.
Their best location?
Well, when they've been traded, do they say they prefer this location because of weather, or do they comment about another location? I'm just wondering.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's the cost of living in the Bay Area.
Well, I mean, besides that, I'm wondering if there's a stadium that is rated like the best ambiance to play in, weather-wise.
It wouldn't be the Oakland Coliseum.
Well, it's too cold it's cool in the evening. It's great during the daytime.
See, they work up a set though. But
the A's had Johnny Damon, I think the year 2000, 2001, one of those years, and he didn't like it here. He left it. He went to Boston as a free agent. He said he didn't sweat enough here. It wasn't humid enough. It wasn't humid enough.
That's good to know.
And one of the things that drove Matt Holliday crazy, he hammered the baseball, and he thought in St. Louis the ball would have gone 440 feet, and here in Oakland it's out at the 360-foot mark. If the ball doesn't carry well at night, it doesn't carry well in L.A., anywhere up and down the West Coast where it's cool in the evening.
I can imagine Seattle, but they're domed, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll like this. This is brief. I heard from a fifth cousin who lives in North Carolina, and he's an engineer back there. He said he has a friend back there who has always wanted to see the Oakland Coliseum his whole life. And he's going to visit this area in September, and now will I give him a tour of the Coliseum?
Oh,
fabulous.
His whole life he's wanted
great.
But his whole life he's wanted to see this Coliseum.
Well, imagine what his life is like.
I was so flat. I thought, wow.
Is he going to be sending you some pictures of his immediate family to modify how his life has been like?
I will. I will. I was introduced to him by email, but apparently he's very shy, and I should hear from him as the time gets closer. It's just like a Thursday, I think they're coming out for the Coliseum. And,
well, you know what you ought to do, Nancy? Honest to God, you ought to get him as a guest on the show and have him talk to us about everything, why he wants to come out here, and you guys can reacquaint on the air.
Yeah, well, we never met. Yeah, this is through my cousin. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you never met him.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's a friend. Well, who was it? Will Rogers? I never met a man I didn't like, or.
Well, this is North Carolina.
It might have been Mr. Rogers who said that. Will Rogers, who was
these men are engineers.
Embarrassed by that.
Yeah. I thought, wow, Oakland should be flattered to hear that. Don't take this for granted.
So Mr. Rogers should have been flattered to hear that. Or Will Rogers.
Look what we have here. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to say. Look what we have here at the Oakland Coliseum.
Wonderful.
You could bring them to the point. You could show them where the plumbing has gone bad and is backing up every Thursday. But the area, boy, taking them around to the area, and then you save the Oakland Coliseum for last, because if that's what they've wanted to see all their lives, build up to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, take them around Lake Merritt. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful on a beautiful sunny day.
Point to the penthouse I live in.
Go over to Jack London Square, over to Everett and Jones, get some ribs. Make it a great day.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes. You can, or you could drop by Alameda and go to Nations.
Well, from Jekyll and Square, I could point and say that's Alameda. That's an island unto itself.
Yeah. As long as I can make Jerry laugh, my day is.
I mean.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had a nice one as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
I love your company.
Ralph, one more thing.
Sure.
I just like to mention that the former general manager of the Oakland Athletics, and Sandy Alderson, has left his post as general manager of the New York Mets due to his cancer reoccurring. And I got to know. I think you saw that. I got to know Sandy a little bit when I was with the club in the 90s.
Yes.
We would have conversations, and one of the conversations I had back in those days when I was active in the pharmacy associations, I would put together a day at the A's. I'd bring about 150 people to the ballpark, and we have a big barbecue out in the parking lot, and had a great time. And I had gotten to know Sandy, and I was talking with him one night, and I said, Sandy, we have 150 people coming. We'd love to have you come to the barbecue and just spend a little time with us. And he looked at me and says, oh, I'd love to do that, but I got to work. And I said, oh, I forget that as much as the employees of the club would like to participate, they've got so much to do that they couldn't spare an hour to come out and visit with us. So I felt kind of bad.
Well, he was working at the end with the Mets, and God, I hope he turns out where he beats this thing. It's a reoccurrence.
Oh.
I'm quoted in his book, by the way. In his book, I'm quoted.
You quoted it.
Are you really?
Yeah. The book came out about a year before mine, and I just could not imagine. To me, he was just still a new hire. I'll never forget when he came in as the A's counsel, and he was Mr. Eisenhardt's best buddy from law school. And he shadowed Dad. He asked if he could shadow Dad, and they rode on the plane together everywhere. Dad took him to the owners' meetings, and I remember when, what's interesting back then is these guys were all the same age as Morgan, and but I was so much younger then. It just doesn't seem. But they're all attorneys.
You're older than that now.
I am, but they just seem like they were so much older.
I'll misquote that song a little bit, but
yeah, but no, Sandy went to the MLB office and then to the Mets, so he seems like he's been happy with the Mets.
Oh, delighted. He's got and when he left them in such good straits. What he did is he appointed not one guy to take his place, but 3.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, there's a council of guys that one of them is Ricordi, one of them is Omar Minaya. I'm a Met fan, so I see all this. Can you imagine the stupidity of having 3 people making decisions instead of 2?
Yeah, well, this may be just a temporary situation for.
That's what I was going to ask.
Temporary. They've already said. He'll never be back, by the way. He's not coming back.
Are you sure?
He was on his way out before, not because of his illness, because
the Wilpon
things have kind of passed him by in Metsville. Yeah. The 3 that he has appointed have announced that everybody's on the table, including Syndergaard and DeGrom.
Yep.
And they could be trading any one of those guys. It's all open to negotiation, and we have 3 guys making the decision.
Oh, my.
What could go wrong with that?
Oh, my.
Everything.
I've been a lifelong Met fan, or at least they're lifelong, and I'd like to burn my caps, all my Met caps, but there aren't enough big lighters to get them going at one time.
Put them in storage and see what happens. Things could turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could turn around for the Mets.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now that they've got those two established aces at the top of their staff, they're just going to blow it up. I'm really appalled at what's going on, but at the same time, I really wish Sandy the best. He was a great baseball man all these years. I don't think he's, for his own well-being, I don't think he needs to come back to the craziness that's
He had a lot to do. He had a lot of adversarial to deal with them because they were involved in that Ponzi Madoff.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Morgan got those papers because of this thing he gets, and we were reading how mad the creditors were because the Wilpons were treated special according to the documents. And they were.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They were paid back. Well, why weren't the others paid back? And so Morgan was seeing what their companies were called and, oh, my God, the affiliations. And here, Sandy's the GM. And so you can imagine the questions he had and what he had to field by being in between them. And then.
Boy, I'd sure like to get Morgan on. I'd sure like to talk to him about that.
Yeah, it was in the federal bankruptcy court, and there was a motion on why the Wilpons received preferential treatment, and the other creditors didn't. And then
the way
their attorney was answering was really.
Bernie Madoff did a number on so many people, including the Wilpon family.
Got paid back. So why is that?
Well, a lot of the money's been recovered. They've been fortunate. Not all of it.
They were paid in advance, though, and the others weren't. So those creditors brought it to court to get it out.
Yeah, they're lucky they didn't have to put the Mets up for collateral.
I know.
You know what I heard? I heard today that Jerry was going to tell us what really went on with the Bash brothers when you were the pharmacist there.
With the Bash brothers?
Yeah.
That was Canseco and who else?
McGuire.
The only year that Canseco and McGuire were together when I was there was 97.
Mm-hmm.
When I started there in 93, Canseco had been traded in the 92 season.
Oh.
So McGuire was there. And then in 97, Sandy had to trade McGuire. He was a free agent at the end of the year. He made it quite clear he wasn't coming back. The A's wanted to extend him, but he did not. He knew that the situation, they only had so much for payroll, and if they were going to give him $8 million and they had a payroll of $24 million, he didn't want to be 1/3 of the payroll.
Was that before his use came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so he wouldn't have been that way, I guess, after all that hit the news.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But anyway, Sandy was working he was not happy having to trade McGuire. He was very, very upset. He was trying to work a deal with the Angels because McGuire's from Southern California, and that fell through. But he did make a deal with the Cardinals, probably because Walt Jocketty, who had been an assistant GM,
we brought
with
Walt
the A's.
in. We hired Walt as head of our minor league department in the late 70s.
There you go.
I remember Walt. We socialized a lot with, anyway. Okay. So Walt was with the Cardinals then?
Walt was with the Cardinals, and
okay.
And that's how the deal came down. Mm-hmm. So that was
exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for, Jerry. Inside stuff. Jerry Feidelberg. Great, Jerry. Proud of you.
I'm glad. And
real
I'm
nice.
Happy to hear Walt.
And Nancy, as usual, you're a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and we will be back.
Okay.
This may be a warning to some of you. Some of you going, don't threaten me, but we will be. We will be doing this. We're taking up airtime, ladies and gentlemen, and the great internets, as Al Gore describe them. I think he invented the internet, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
am I right?
I did. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know Al Gore was good for something. Maybe it was. I remember him for not being able to hold his home state and losing the election. Home state, Tennessee, ladies and gentlemen. The Schmeckler couldn't hold it. The Schmeckler couldn't hold it, and the rest is history. All right. Here's to you, Al, you big old ecologist, you.
Yes. Melting that ice.
Yes, I know. They're getting. He figures if they're going to melt ice in Antarctica, some of his blubber will melt. I don't know how he figures it.
He sold his station out. He sold out.
For sure.
I know.
For sure.
Okay.
But he didn't sell out recently. Recently, he is a voice for ecology.
Okay.
And it would be nice if people listen to that, because we only have one world to survive on. We're not likely to go up to space because Trump is making it his space, an aggressive space. He's going to dominate space. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? We're frickin' doomed. But we will be back next week with smiles on our face, and we're in the candy land of life. Sports are, baseball in particular, and let's put on a happy face.
Yeah, let's go out to the Coliseum on the 4th of July. Baseball, apple pie.
That's right.
It's America.
Baseball,
absolutely, it's America.
Okay.
It's America. All right, now. Let's get it going.
Okay.
Love you all. Thanks, Nancy.
You.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye.
Okay.
Be well.
Bye-bye now.